It was 2:17 in the morning when Margaret opened her eyes. She wasn't sure what had woken her. Her nightgown was damp with sweat, even though the room was cool. Her hands were trembling against the blanket, and when she tried to sit up, the dark bedroom seemed to tilt around her. She felt strange, weak, confused in a way she couldn't quite put into words. Margaret is 76. She decided to walk to the bathroom, the way she had 1,000 times before. But this time, her legs didn't quite obey. She reached for the wall, missed, and caught the edge of the dresser just in time. The noise woke her daughter, who came running, and like most families would, she reached for the simplest explanation. Maybe Mom had a bad dream. Maybe she stood up too fast. Maybe, and this is the thought that quietly frightens so many families, maybe this is just what getting older looks like. But here is what nobody in that house was thinking about at 2:17 in the morning. Several hours earlier, before bed, Margaret had done something she did every single night, something that felt responsible, organized, safe. She had taken all of her evening pills together in one neat little handful, including her Glipizide, even though dinner that night had been very small. Just a bit of soup and a few crackers because she hadn't felt very hungry. So let me ask you something. What if the pill that was meant to control her blood sugar during the day was still quietly pushing it down, while everyone in the house was fast asleep? Now, Margaret is not a real patient. She is a composite, a story built from the very real experiences of countless older adults who take this common diabetes medication. But the situation she found herself in is one of the most overlooked dangers in diabetes care for people over 60. And by the end of this video, you will understand something most people are never clearly told, that with Glipizide, the time on the clock matters, but the meal connected to that clock may matter even more. If you or someone you love takes Glipizide, this is information worth holding on to. Take just a second to subscribe, so this kind of calm, clear health explanation can find its way back to you when you need it most. Now, let's get to the heart of it. Before we talk about a single symptom, I want you to picture your prescription bottle, specifically the words printed right after the name Glipizide, because there isn't just one kind of Glipizide. There are two, and they do not follow the same rules. The first is regular Glipizide, sometimes called immediate release. The second is extended release Glipizide, which you can often spot by a few extra letters on the label, FID, the words extended release or long-acting. That difference is not a small detail. It changes when the medication starts working, how long it keeps working, and how it is meant to line up with your meals. Regular Glipizide is often prescribed to be taken before a meal, commonly about 30 minutes before breakfast or before another scheduled meal. The idea is that the medicine and the food arrive together, like two dance partners who need to stay in step. Extended-release Glipizide is usually taken once a day, with breakfast or the first main meal of the day. It releases its effect slowly over many hours. Now I am going to say something important, and I want you to hold on to it. The label on your bottle and the instructions from your own prescriber always come first. Not your spouse's schedule, not a friend's routine, not a comment someone left underneath a video like this one. Your formulation, your instructions, and no taking Glipizide at night is not automatically forbidden for everyone. But moving it to bedtime on your own, without guidance, can quietly create a problem, especially when no real meal follows it, or when that timing simply doesn't match the type of Glipizide you were actually prescribed. So here is the very first thing I'll ask you to do after the video is over. Go read your bottle. Look at the word right after Glipizide. Does it say regular? Does it say XL? You don't need to share anything private about your health, but it helps to simply notice which one is sitting in your cabinet, because the rest of this video may apply to you a little differently depending on that one single word. But this is where the bottle changes the story, because to really understand the danger, you first have to understand what Glipizide is actually telling your body to do. Imagine your pancreas as a small, busy kitchen tucked inside your body. Inside that kitchen, there is a pantry, and on the shelves of that pantry sits insulin, your body's natural tool for managing sugar. Now, a lot of people assume that Glipizide simply reaches into the blood and scrubs the sugar away, like wiping a counter clean, but that is not what it does. Glipizide doesn't clean. Glipizide calls out an order. It walks into that pancreatic kitchen and tells the cells, clearly and firmly, to release more insulin. And insulin has a job. It acts like a key, opening the doors of your cells so that glucose, sugar, can leave the bloodstream and move inside, where your body can use it for energy. When you've just eaten, this is a beautiful thing. Food brings glucose into your blood. Glipizide signals for insulin. The insulin opens the doors and the sugar flows where it belongs. Everything is in balance. Everything is in step. But now, I want you to picture what happens when that order goes out and the food never arrives. The insulin is released anyway. The doors open anyway. The sugar gets pulled out of your bloodstream anyway, but there's no incoming meal to replace it. And so your blood sugar keeps falling lower and lower into territory it was never meant to reach. That is the central mismatch. The medicine sends the insulin signal, but the expected food comes late, comes far too small, or doesn't come at all. This is exactly why glipizide is not like some medications you can take at any convenient moment, with or without a meal. And forget about glipizide is tied to your food. It expects a partner. And when that partner doesn't show up, the dance turns into a fall. So let's talk about the 4 most common ways that mismatch sneaks into real, everyday life. I call them the 4 timing traps, and I'd be willing to guess that at least one of them has already happened in your home. The first trap is taking the pill and then delaying breakfast. Picture someone who takes their regular glipizide, fully intending to eat right away. But then the phone rings, or a neighbor stops by, or there's a doctor's appointment to rush off to, or a church obligation, or the laundry, or simply a busy morning that gets away from them, and they think, I'll just eat a little later. Here's the problem. The medicine doesn't wait. The insulin signal has already gone out. So, I'll eat later is not always the harmless little decision it feels like, because while you're busy, your blood sugar may already be sliding downward. The second trap is moving every pill to bedtime. This one is so understandable because it comes from a good place. An older adult sets up a weekly pill organizer, those little plastic boxes with the days of the week, and decides to keep things simple by putting all the once-a-day medications into the evening slot. One time, one routine, easy to remember. But here is the thing nobody tells you. Medications do not become interchangeable just because they're taken once a day. A blood pressure pill and a glipizide pill might both be once daily, but they are not playing by the same rules. Sliding glipizide into a bedtime that has no real meal behind it can set the stage for a sugar low in the deep, quiet hours of the night. And those nighttime lows often wear a disguise. They can show up as sweating through the sheets, strange or vivid dreams, a headache in the morning, waking up weak, foggy, or oddly confused, a stumble on the way to the bathroom in the dark, sometimes even a higher than expected blood sugar reading in the morning after the body fought back against an overnight low. Now, I want to be careful and fair here. Not every high morning reading means you had a low in the night. There are several reasons morning numbers run high. But if these nighttime patterns sound familiar, they are absolutely worth mentioning to your doctor. Before we go to the third trap, let me pause for just a moment. If anything I've said so far has made you stop and think, if you've ever woken in the night damp and shaky, or felt that strange weakness that eased once you finally ate something, I'd really like to hear about it. Leave a comment and tell me. Have you ever experienced unexplained sweating, trembling, nighttime confusion, or weakness that got better after eating? And if this video is helping things click into place, a quick like genuinely helps it reach another family who needs it. Now, back to the traps. The third trap is taking your usual dose but eating an unusually small meal. This is the one that catches careful people off guard. The pill routine stays exactly the same. Same dose, same time. Every day, perfectly consistent. But the food changes dramatically, and the medicine never gets the memo. Maybe it's just toast and coffee instead of a real breakfast. Maybe an illness has stolen your appetite. Maybe there's nausea, or a dental problem that makes eating painful, or simply a day when preparing a proper meal feels like too much. Maybe you're deliberately trying to eat lighter, to lose a little weight. Whatever the reason, the medication is still expecting a full meal's worth of sugar to manage, and you've only given it a fraction of that. The result is the same dangerous gap between the insulin signal and the food. The fourth trap is a normal schedule on an abnormal day. This is the sneakiest one of all, because on paper, everything looks perfect. Right dose, right time. Nothing skipped. But the day itself is not ordinary. Maybe you did unexpected exercise a long afternoon in the garden, a walk that went farther than usual, an afternoon of heavier chores. Maybe you had a drink of alcohol. Maybe you were hit with vomiting or diarrhea, or your appetite vanished, or you just started a brand new medication from another doctor. Any of these can quietly change how your body handles sugar. The clock looks normal. The dose looks normal. But on the inside, the circumstances have shifted and the medicine is still doing exactly what it always does. Now, I am not telling you to skip a dose when one of these days comes along. Please don't do that on your own. What I'm telling you is this. Ask your prescriber or your pharmacist ahead of time for a personalized plan, a sick day plan, a missed meal plan, so that when one of these abnormal days arrives, and eventually one will, you already know exactly what to do, instead of guessing in the moment. Because the clock alone is not the whole problem. The bigger problem is knowing how to recognize when your sugar is already falling, and that's where so many older adults and their families get fooled. So let's talk about what a low blood sugar actually feels like, because this is where so many warning signs get brushed aside and blamed on something else entirely. It can start as sudden sweating, breaking out for no clear reason, or shaking and trembling in the hands. A wave of hunger that feels almost urgent, dizziness, weakness that comes out of nowhere, vision that goes blurry, a headache, a heart that suddenly feels like it's racing. But it doesn't stop there. Low blood sugar can also reach into the mind and the mood. It can cause irritability or a sudden sharp change in personality that seems to come from nowhere. Speech can become slurred. Thinking can turn foggy and confused. Coordination can falter, so a person feels clumsy or unsteady. There can be an unusual, heavy sleepiness. And in the night, it can mean waking up wet with sweat, anxious, disoriented, or just deeply unwell. Now read that list again in your mind and you'll understand the heart of the problem. Because for an older adult, almost every single one of those symptoms gets quietly explained away. Sweating must be the room temperature, shaking, probably just nerves or age, confusion, or a personality change. The family starts whispering the word dementia, poor balance, and a stumble. She's just getting unsteady on her feet. Sleepiness, fogginess, a rough night. She didn't sleep well, that's all. A real low blood sugar episode gets mistaken for aging itself. It gets mistaken for anxiety, for fatigue, for a senior moment. And so the one thing that might actually fix it, a little fast-acting sugar, never gets offered because nobody realized that was the problem. Let me be fair, the way I always want to be with you. Not every one of these moments is caused by glipizide. Not every shaky morning is low blood sugar. These symptoms have many possible causes. But when they show up around your medication and your meals, especially when a meal was small, late, or missed, they deserve real attention, not a shrug. And there's one more layer that makes this even trickier. Some medications can actually hide the early warning signs. Beta blockers, which many older adults take for the heart or blood pressure, are a well-known example. They can soften or mask that racing heartbeat, trembling alarm your body normally sounds, so the low sneaks up further before anyone notices. This is also why low blood sugar and falls are so closely linked in older adults. When you're dizzy, weak, foggy, and unsteady all at once, a trip to the bathroom in the dark becomes genuinely risky. I'm not telling you this to frighten you, I'm telling you because recognizing it early is what keeps people safe. So now we need to draw a clear line. The line between a low you can treat at home and a low that has become an emergency. Because they are not the same, and knowing the difference matters enormously. Generally speaking, a blood sugar below 70 milligrams per deciliter is considered low, and it calls for prompt action according to your own diabetes plan. That's the number worth remembering. 70. When a low is caught while the person is still awake, alert, and able to swallow safely, there's a simple, widely used approach called the 15-15 rule. Here's how it works. You take about 15 grams of a fast-acting carbohydrate. Then you wait 15 minutes, and I know that waiting can feel hard, but it matters. After those 15 minutes, you recheck the blood sugar. And if it's still low, you repeat the step, following the plan your doctor set up with you. What counts as 15 grams of fast-acting carbohydrate? Glucose tablets are ideal because they're measured for exactly this. Glucose gel works too. So does about half a cup of juice or regular soda, and I want to be very clear. Regular soda, not diet, because diet won't have the sugar you need in that moment. A spoonful of sugar or honey can work as well. But here's a mistake people make in a panic. They reach for chocolate or peanut butter or a big plate of food. The trouble is, the fat in those foods slows down how fast the sugar gets absorbed, so they work too slowly to be your best first choice when sugar is dropping. Treat the low quickly first, with something fast. The meal can come after. Now, everything I just described is for someone who is still awake and able to swallow. But there is a point where this stops being something you handle with juice and becomes a call to 911. If a person becomes severely confused, unable to swallow safely, has a seizure, faints, loses consciousness, or simply cannot treat themselves, that is an emergency, full stop. That is the moment you call for emergency help immediately. This is also where a medication called glucagon comes in, an emergency treatment that can raise blood sugar, which some families are prescribed to keep on hand. If your loved one is at risk, it's worth asking the doctor whether you should have it and learning how to use it before you ever need it. And please, hold on to this one. Rule: if a person is unconscious, never force food or liquid into their mouth. It can choke them. In that moment, you are not reaching for juice. You are reaching for the phone and for glucagon if you have it and know how. That single distinction between a low you sip a juice box through and a low that needs an ambulance may be the most important thing you take from this entire video. But knowing the symptoms is only part of the picture, because there are hidden factors that can quietly amplify this whole danger or hide it from you completely. Let's talk about the things that can turn an ordinary low into a much bigger one, the hidden amplifiers. The first is other diabetes medications, especially insulin or other pills that also lower blood sugar. When more than one medicine is pushing your sugar down at the same time, the effects can stack on top of each other. Then there's poor food intake, eating too little over days, or genuine malnutrition. There's trouble with the liver or the kidneys, because those organs help process both your sugar and your medications. And when they're not working well, glipizide can linger and act more strongly than expected. Alcohol is a big one, and an underestimated one. It can lower blood sugar on its own and blunt your body's ability to recover from a low. Certain other medications matter too. Some antifungal drugs, for example, can interact with glipizide in ways that deserve a professional's review. And as we talked about earlier, beta blockers can quietly mask the warning signs. And here's a scenario that happens more than you'd think. One doctor adds a new medication, not fully knowing everything another doctor already prescribed. Each decision makes sense on its own, but no one is seeing the whole picture at once. Now, I don't want to bury you under a giant list of interactions, because that's not the point. The point is simple, and I want you to remember it above all the details. Every single doctor and every pharmacist you see needs to know that you take glipizide. That's why one of the most powerful, protective things you can do costs nothing at all. Keep an updated list of every medication and every supplement you take right in your wallet or your purse. Bring it everywhere, because that little piece of paper lets every professional see the full picture, and the full picture is what keeps you safe. So let me give you something practical. You can actually do a quick .com safety check. You can run in about 5 minutes without changing a single thing about your treatment. I call it the form check. 4 letters, 4 questions. F is for formulation. Go look at your bottle. Does it say regular glipizide, or does it say XL extended release or long acting? You're not changing anything. You're just knowing which one you have. O is for ordered timing. What exact instructions did your prescriber or pharmacist give you about meals before breakfast? With your first meal. This is the timing you were actually told, not the timing you assumed. R is for reliable meal. Be honest with yourself here. Is the meal connected to your glipizide truly consistent? Or is breakfast often delayed, often shrunk down to a piece of toast, or sometimes skipped entirely? M is for monitor and make a plan. Do you know the signs of a low? Do you carry fast-acting glucose with you? Do you check your sugar the way your doctor asked? And do you have a personalized plan for the tricky days, missed meals, illness, unexpected exercise, and those nighttime symptoms? Run through for M, and you'll quickly see where your questions are. And to be clear, this check isn't for changing your medication on your own. It's for spotting exactly what you need to ask about. Which brings us to those questions, because walking into your doctor's office or your pharmacy with the right questions changes everything. So here are 5 worth writing down. Question 1. Am I taking immediate release or extended release glipizide? You'd be surprised how many people genuinely don't know, and the answer shapes everything else. Question 2. How should this dose relate to my first meal or my other meals? Get the exact timing in plain language for your specific prescription. Question 3. What should I do if my meal is delayed, much smaller than usual, or skipped? This is your missed meal plan, decided calmly in advance instead of in a panic. Question 4. Could any of my other medications hide or increase low blood sugar? This is where your full medication list earns its keep. And question 5, should my family have glucagon, and do they know how to use it? Because the moment you'd need it is the moment you can't explain it. Write the answers down. Don't trust them to memory, especially the timing details, because the whole reason we're here is that small details, quietly forgotten, are exactly what create the danger. Now, I want to take a breath with you, because if you've made it this far, I need to make sure you're hearing the right message. I am not here to tell you that glipizide is a dangerous or a bad medication. It isn't. For a great many people, it works quietly and well, helping them keep their type 2 diabetes under steady control for years. Millions of mornings begin with this pill and end with nothing dramatic at all, just good, ordinary blood sugar. The purpose of everything I've shared is not to frighten you, and it is certainly not to talk you out of your treatment. The goal is simpler and kinder than that. It's to make sure that all the pieces fit together: the medication, the formulation, your meal pattern, your monitoring, and the particular realities of your own health. When those pieces line up, glipizide does its job, and it does it safely. So let me be very clear about a few things, so there is no confusion when this video ends. Do not stop taking your glipizide because of something you heard here. Do not move it from morning to night or from night to morning on your own. Do not double up if you miss a dose. Do not switch yourself from regular to extended release, and never crush an extended release tablet to make it easier to swallow. That can release the whole dose at once. And if you're having repeated low readings or these symptoms keep returning, that is not a reason to quietly suffer or secretly adjust things. It's a reason to go back and ask for a medication review. And please, be gentle but firm with yourself on this next part. Cinnamon will not replace your glipizide, neither will vinegar or a supplement or an herbal remedy you saw promoted somewhere. Those things are not a substitute for prescribed diabetes treatment, no matter how natural they sound. By all means, talk with your doctor about your whole lifestyle, but don't trade away a medication that's keeping you safe. Now, let's go back to where we started. Back to Margaret, awake and frightened at 2:17 in the morning. Here's what I want you to understand about her. Margaret's mistake was not that she was careless, just the opposite. She was organized. She was responsible. She lined up all her pills together every night precisely because she believed it made her routine safer. She was doing what she thought a careful person was supposed to do. Her real mistake was a quiet, understandable assumption that every once-a-day pill follows the same rules. That if one medication is fine at bedtime, they all must be bad. That a tidy handful of pills is automatically a safe handful of pills. But a once-daily medication that releases insulin is not the same as every other once-daily medication. It has a partner it's waiting for. It has a meal it was prescribed around. And when that meal is small, or late, or already digested hours before, the medicine keeps working anyway, alone, in the dark. So here is the idea I most want you to carry out of this video and into your kitchen tonight. A pill organizer can tell you which day to take a medication. It cannot tell you what that medication needs from the rest of your day. The most dangerous timing mistake is usually not some specific, cursed number on the clock. It's separating the insulin-releasing medicine from the meal, the monitoring, and the plan it was always meant to travel with. Put those back together with your doctor's guidance, and you take that to 17 in the morning danger and quietly diffuse it. Everything I've shared with you today is for education and understanding. It can't replace the personalized advice of the doctor or pharmacist who knows you, your history, and your full medication list. Let this be the reason you start the conversation, not the reason you skip it. So before you go, do 3 small things for me. If this helped even one piece of the puzzle click into place, leave a like, because it genuinely helps this reach another older adult who's lying awake wondering what woke them. And drop a comment with that one word from your bottle, regular, R or XL, without sharing anything else private. Then think of one person. A spouse, a sibling, a caregiver, a friend who takes glipizide, and share this with them, because this might be the conversation that changes one of their nights. And if you want to understand even more about protecting yourself and the people you love, I've got another video waiting for you right here on the screen. Go ahead and watch that one next. I think it'll bring you real peace of mind. I'll see you there.